Let the games begin.
Hello, good evening, and welcome, one and all, to another fluffy video. And you may be wondering, why are we looking at World of Warcraft footage? And that's a very good question. Oh, hello, Rob.
Hello.
Welcome to the video. Yeah, we're looking at some WoW footage that I recorded today, actually. I just went and soloed the Vanilla Raids, Molten Core, and Blackwing Lair. And
As you do.
As you do, yeah. Because I've been thinking recently, about endgame MMO stuff, and the reason I've actually been playing WoW again is because I had a kind of an itch that wasn't necessarily being scratched by Guild Wars 2 endgame. I just wanted to kind of get my tank on, go in and do some dungeons, and I've been doing that. I've gone back to WoW for a while, just to see how things are going. And so yeah, this is just some stuff that I thought fit in with the theme of this video, which the theme of this video is sort of LFR stuff, because we made a video a while ago, did we not?
We did make a video, indeed.
About WildStar not having any kind of LFR feature, which is kind of the thing in WoW since, I guess, Cataclysm.
Yes.
Where you essentially queue up in a dungeon finder type system and do like an extremely piss poor version of the current raiding content. And WildStar does not have this, which in our video we said was a good thing. And it actually turned out to be our most watched WildStar video. So here we are. Some time has passed. We've received some comments on that topic, and I thought it'd be a good time to talk about some of the stuff in WoW that's sort of relates to that and how it compares in a kind of WildStar versus WoW comparison, I guess you would say. I mean, that's basically what this is. There's no point trying to gloss over the point. We're basically comparing two different approaches. Although WoW kind of started off as WildStar, essentially, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It was very hardcore. I mean, the idea of the game was to create a challenging, time-consuming, skill-based, I suppose, numbers-based game where, you know, obviously you were challenged, and the idea of teamwork was great. And even the 5-man dungeons were tough.
They were.
Yeah, it was. You know, it's changed a lot. We'll say that.
Yeah, it's changed a lot, and you know, there's been this sort of dip in subscribers that's been happening in WoW over the years now. Really, it's been gradually in decline. Although still, you say in decline, but you know, it's funny because WoW can basically lose like something equivalent to the entire player base of another MMO and still go, yeah, well, we've lost your entire player base, but we've still got like fucking 8 million subs. So
yeah,
you know, it's still popular. But yeah, it's completely changed, and it's a question of, you know, has it changed for the better or worse? And I think you and I and a lot of the people who commented on our WildStar LFR lack thereof video would kind of agree that it's for worse for a number of reasons. And the big one really for me is just kind of a lack of challenge, really, a lack of, you know, you because the thing is, coming back to WoW kind of it opened my eyes to the way that they've done it now. I mean, you really can just go in and clear most of the current content pretty much straight away. It just gets served up to you, and you don't talk to anyone.
yeah.
It's basically about Molten Core level difficulty, which is it's funny because that's kind of what we're looking at here. Because old raid, I mean, Molten Core back in the day was difficult to get those 40 players together. and that
And
was about
coordinate.
it. And coordinate in a way, but I mean, everyone was hella bad back then. They were just seriously bad.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, yeah, people were bad, but also equipment was shit.
Equipment was shit. But really, I mean, if you think about it, raids were tuned in Classic to... I don't think they were ever seriously tuned to say that we're going to have 40 good players. It was tuned to like 25 good players and then 15 people getting carried.
Yeah, it was. I mean, especially as a rogue, I did spend some time between bosses going to get cups of tea.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's...
And dealing with kids as well, which was actually quite good for me because I have small children.
It's important when talking about this old WoW raiding stuff to avoid getting completely rose-tinted about it, I think, because some of it was just stupid. I mean, you talk about playing a rogue, and looking back, I know there were guilds, lots of groups actually, where rogues were told not to use poisons because that would like screw up the debuff limit on bosses. You know, if you put poisons on, it pushes off the more powerful debuffs.
Yeah.
Therefore, you
Don't overwrite
that.
my debuffs, damn it.
Yeah. And things like people not going into combat in bosses so that they can res people during fights and
Yeah,
it's stuff like that, you know. But the whole epicness of it, the whole 40 players, and it created a community. I think it created a feeling of epicness that is totally lost.
Every raid day, that day in the week where you had the chance to go and do Molten Core again and have the opportunity to possibly get one of your set items, depending on what system you used, whether it was just the need before greed, trying to equip your raid out with, or whether it was the Dragon Point system.
Yeah.
It was just amazing, and even just getting that one piece, like someone said in
awesome.
one of the comments, was just amazing, and it was great
Because it was like
perfect.
you finally got it after everything you've been gone through. You got like an upgrade, and I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like it was a more significant upgrade as well. Maybe it's the number inflation that's happened in WoW over the years, where numbers are just becoming silly and doesn't seem like a significant boost. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I kind of quit playing pretty much level 85, got through like the Cata leveling, and then just kind of, well, for various different reasons, I thought, I need to stop, at least have a break and play some other games and just get away from it. And partly that was also to do with the stuff to do with they'd kind of not decided how they wanted the game to be. They'd kind of got into this position where they'd spent Wrath watering down 5-mans, giving out heroic epics, and then at Cataclysm they turned around and said, well, heroics should be hard, so here's some hard heroics. And no one knew how to do it anymore because everyone had been... It was like, CC? What the fuck's that?
Exactly. Well, we have to be careful. We have to think about this.
I have to... And it kind of just created a whole... You couldn't even pug like a dungeon anymore because people were so retarded. They'd been basically brought... Oh, look, I just got invited to... That happens, by the way, if you go in without a guild. It's like, oh, you don't have a guild. Join our guild. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I think it happens again in a
You've got
minute.
many whispers in this thing.
Yeah.
Quick, join our guild.
But yeah, so yeah, I kind of quit, and then coming back, the numbers just, I guess I kind of lost track of where we were up to in like health pools and damage and that sort of thing, and it just doesn't mean anything to me when I see, oh, guess what, you're doing like X number of K on a non-crit normal white melee swing.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything, especially when the numbers get that big.
It's just...
I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, I came back towards the end of Wrath of the Lich King, didn't I?
Yeah.
After I finished Burning Crusade and got to the end of that, and I just didn't want to do the grind to get the equipment, which is pretty much what we're talking about now, really.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do the grind again to get the equipment to be able to go into the higher level heroics and then to the dungeons. And
you didn't want to go the raiding
raids
route.
No, I didn't. I didn't feel the need or the want to go down that raiding route.
No.
But then I came back for Cataclysm, really.
Yeah.
By going through the Lich King content, and then into obviously Cataclysm.
Cataclysm, revamped kind of old WoW, which has, I think, I'm not entirely sure on this, but from what I can tell in the WoW community, because I've been kind of out of the loop, but it's kind of perceived as not the best expansion ever, probably the worst, actually.
I really enjoyed the leveling, though. I think they'd done it amazingly well. I leveled up a few characters, and one of them was a shaman, a dwarf shaman, which obviously you have to do.
Well, yeah.
All the way up to, was it 80? At that 85? Point, or 85?
Yeah, it was 85.
Because I took him all the way through all the new content, but I wanted to go through the process because they'd rejigged all the quests and the way the quest hubs work, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I wanted to take him through that and see how it flowed better, and it did. It was brilliant, and I really enjoyed it.
It did flow better, but I think looking back now, I kind of don't know if that was a good thing to do. Do you know what I mean? Because they had like all the old game, and then it's kind of like now it's not that anymore. It's Cataclysm.
So what you're saying is people should get to level 58 and then go to Blackrock Hold and grind 2 levels.
Not so much, no, but just the idea of
old school.
I don't know if you should adjust old content. I think that's something that's plaguing them now because, well, here we are. We're looking at. I'm just messing around in Molten Core, but you can't do, for instance, old Nax because it got moved.
Yeah, it got moved
to North, and you can't do old Oni. Like the original Onyxia fight is gone because it got moved to Wrath.
Oh, whelps.
So it's kind of, I mean, it's slightly off topic from what we're supposed to be talking about here, but this is just a kind of general kind of a rant video anyway, if you hadn't guessed already.
I'm drinking as well, so
yeah,
well, there we go.
But yeah, I don't know, there's a certain, it kind of, in a way, it's a bit like, you know how people hate on the Star Wars rejigged versions?
Yeah.
It's like,
me.
I can do this better now, so the old game was crap, so I think looking back now, it's like when you level up a new character, you play through a Cataclysm, you don't play through vanilla WoW. That's just like a little gripe that I have with it now. I mean, yeah, the leveling's better, but there were certain kind of little fun bits to it as well that you won't ever get to experience in the old system, you know. But yeah, I mean, it was brutal though, the old leveling system.
It was like vanilla WoW was brutal for leveling.
The leveling, you never had enough quests, did you, to get to the next bit?
No, it was always that. What the hell am I meant to do now?
Or you'd get to a zone, and you'd get a quest to go to another zone on the other side of the world to like take a letter to someone or something, and then that guy would go,
"Oh, thanks.
Oh, thanks. I don't want anything else from you, so no fucks given."
well, I grind the first 10 levels with my rogue. I didn't do any quests at all.
No,
and it was
you
like,
had to.
Well, because I didn't want to do quests, and I just thought I like killing stuff, and I'd never played an MMO before, so I didn't really get the idea. I mean, I knew you got experience from quests, but then when I got to level 40, I couldn't get the discount on the mount because
you hadn't done any fucking rep.
Because I hadn't got any rep. So what I had to do was go around all the starting area and pick up all the quests that I hadn't done and do them all at like level 40.
Yeah.
So I could get the rep.
Yeah. So I mean, classic WoW. Obviously, it had its problems. Obviously, when you've got stuff like that. Funnily enough, now if you go in, it's pretty much just it feels on rails, I think, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's obvious what you need to do next, but there's something about that, I guess, that kind of takes away the explorer-y-ness in a sense. You know, you kind of, well, it's not, because like in Guild Wars 2, to bring that into the mix for a minute, it is kind of like there's set stuff that you do in a zone, but it's more just like, oh, I want to go over here, see what's going on over here.
Yeah.
WoW now kind of constantly says, go here, do that. Once you've done that, do this, you know? Which
Yeah, I mean, it is a kind of a different concept in some ways.
They've streamlined it quite a lot. And that's kind of one of the concepts of this rant, isn't it, really? Is just
Yeah.
giving...
I mean, that's what kind of daily achievements do, don't they? In WoW, for example, is funnel you into doing something every day.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but I kind of have an itch for like the time when you logged in and stuff was just going on. And one of the things that kind of I've noticed is missing. That's one of the big things, really. But another thing that in the comments that people have put on our WildStar videos when we've talked about it is things like lack of world PvP, you know, the lack of wanting to go out into the world because you just insta-queue for a dungeon. I mean, to all intents and purposes, the way that WoW is now, you might as well just delete the overworld and just leave Orgrimmar and Stormwind.
Yeah.
And just like fucking queue.
Yeah, because you could just queue for like dead mines and just do dead mines, and then you could queue for the stockade, and it could go like that, couldn't it?
Well, that's kind of gradually how it's gone. But one of the funny things is when first, like, you know, looking for group for heroics and stuff started. Whee!
I'm the bomb.
I'm the bomb. When that stuff first started, they kind of said, well, great, but to unlock that, you have to discover the instance, right? You've got to like find the instance portal to be able to then auto queue for it. So at least, you know, you still have to discover it.
Yeah, at least you do something.
Now, you don't even have to do that. So, leveling through Pandaria, which as I have done.
Have you?
I have. That's what this is. I'm level 90 in this video.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, you get to a certain level, and then it's just like, oh, you can queue for this dungeon. Now it kind of pops up in your ding, you know, like you've unlocked this stuff. You've unlocked this dungeon. And I did dungeons, and I had no fucking clue where they were in the map.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I found that when you could...
This is like a complete disconnect of like, it breaks. I mean, and it's an MMO. It's not going to be completely immersive. I don't think anyone's looking for that particularly, but it's definitely an immersion killer when you go. Well, hang on.
Yeah, let's just
where the
instantly
fuck am
teleport to a place where I've never been.
And in some
before.
cases, it's like in a zone I haven't even been to.
Yeah.
Because you outlevel the zones, kind of. Well, I'll be honest with you. I got halfway through leveling up this new expansion in the first zone. And then I just went to like the last zone for the last 2 levels and skipped over everything else. Yeah, so it was kind of like, I felt like a huge amount of that content was redundant.
Was that them trying to make sure that people get to the level they need to do
Well, it
before
just
they
feels
carry on?
like it's part of the streamlining that they seem to be fascinated by. Really, it's let's quickly get everyone to the next bit. Let's quickly get everyone up to level. That's why you have these catch-up systems in place now, which kind of started in RAF. You know, RAF came out. It had Nax at launch. Next patch was Ulduar, and you don't have to do Nax anymore. Don't worry about that. Just do some heroics, and you'll get the gear you need to do Ulduar.
Ulduar was good.
Ulduar was awesome. I did love Ulduar as a raid. But then as soon as the next tier came out, guess what? Ulduar is just, you don't need to do that anymore. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
And this is one of the big things, is that they keep pushing. The reason why they do it is because back in vanilla, when Nax first came out, 1% of the gameplay audience saw that.
Yeah.
But then I just think, well, great, but you want people to play the content. Don't worry, they will eventually. If they don't do it like now, they're going to get there. They're going to have the opportunity. You know, as more people get more gear, you know, alt groups are set up. They go back. They do. That's what happened with Molten Core.
Yeah, and loads of groups.
Lots of alt groups. We had, like, even when we started in our first big guild, we were in the second raid
Yeah, there were
group,
2 groups, yeah.
and that's when you had 40-man raids, for heck's sake. Half of it was made of vaults, but everyone knew the
Yeah,
fight.
we were in the alt group, weren't we?
I just think it's kind of... They're talking about getting use out of the content, getting people to see the content, but then it just gets piggybacked over as soon as the next big thing comes out.
Yeah, it's
And
kind of
it's like,
it kind of
it's a
defeats the
waste.
object of itself.
It's like people will see it, even if they go back after a few levels in like another expansion, they will see the content.
Yeah.
I just think it's a case of giving the players everything they ask for, which I don't think is ever a good thing.
Which
because,
completely cheapens everything.
well, yeah, because players think they want things. It's like, oh, I paid the sub fee, I should see the content of that raid as well. And that's kind of what kills PvE, really, is there's no contest in it really anymore. If you can just go into an auto queue and do the tank and spank version and that's it.
Yeah,
Why go
I mean,
through
for
it
raiding,
again?
definitely.
Why go through it again to just get better gear? What do you need that gear for once you've used it? Once you've seen that content, you know?
Because it took us ages to get to the point where, I mean, like, we started our own guild off, and then we started kind of working with another guild to do some molten core, and
Yep.
then we left our guild and joined a bigger guild which was running molten core regularly and starting on Blackwing Layer. And it was kind of like we progressed to that level through social communication and
Wow. Imagine
I know,
that in an
exactly.
MMO.
and
Crazy.
kind of commitment to the task in hand, which was to get to molten core, or to try and progress our characters to
Molten
see this
Core-
information.
Because, I mean, you look back on Molten Core, it's basically a cave with some mobs in it that have huge amounts of damage and HP and a couple of mechanics. But because it took so much to get there, by the time you got there, it just had this kind of mystique and aura to it. You know, you were like, yeah, we're finally here.
Yeah,
We've done dungeons, we've wiped hard in Scholomance and
yeah.
Zul'Gurub and Blackrock Spire. We've attuned. We've done the hell that is BRD, you know,
Oh God, BRD attunement quest,
which was like designed for fucking level
My
50s. But you needed to be 60 because
I mean, doing the achievement quest was just like that was just an achievement in itself.
well, yeah. But I mean, once you were attuned, it was like, yeah, you're attuned, great. But you still need to like go and do the fucking Aqua Quintessence shit and get rep.
Oh yeah,
by
to get the actual, so you can actually be
warlords.
useful when you're in molten core to douse a.
You had to like
the,
those
signals.
runes. In case you don't know, in case you haven't played old school WoW like us, the runes in Molten Core that you can
Which
see.
you're just passing in a minute.
they
aren't you?
just pass. You just kill the boss and it goes poof. Not so easy in classic
not so-
WoW.
I know.
No, you had to go out into the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, where was it? It was like that.
It was
water
off the coast of
people
Ashara,
quest.
and you had.
Yeah.
I think you even had to go through fucking like fatigue water to get to this elemental dude that was like, "Oh, hi, yeah, you can get one of these a week." So
Yeah,
you
and
were
had to do
counting
the
on
quest
like
to get to the opportunity to be able to hold one of these bottles. You had to do this quest line,
Well, you needed rep.
and yeah, it was rep, wasn't it? That's what it was.
If you got
had to
enough
get
rep,
the rep.
you could get like one that never expired, but you know that took fucking forever. No one ever got that.
Well, they didn't they make it so it didn't expire in the end,
Yeah, they did.
because basically you had to make the run
There
to
was-
Ashura.
There was a
to get
perma
the-
one at like Exalted,
Yeah,
and then they made it like it never expired at all, and then they just removed it. Like
yeah, they were like, this
Cataclysm,
is
I think.
ridiculous.
I think that was with Cataclysm. I'm not sure, but yeah, but that
But basically,
not- but-
what that meant was if you didn't have enough people in the raid with this quintessence,
Yeah.
you could not progress past
this
a
happened
certain point.
frequently, by the way.
Yeah.
There were always. Wait, hang on. We're out of quintessence. All right, someone like make a portal to Teldrassil or whatever.
Yeah, and then we'd have to
Wait.
wait, go and get a cup of tea while the one person who had
Yeah,
the thing to be able to
that
get
was
it.
just part of it. I mean, 40-man raiding. You know, there were so many fails and there were so many frustrating moments, but at the same time, you laughed your arse off so hard
Oh yeah,
because you meet like just so many different people.
Yeah, it's great.
And WildStar, yeah, they're aiming to pull off that again. Whether or not it's like, as stupidly easy mode as these raids would have been if people had skill, I don't know. It's probably going to be a bit harder, I think. It's probably not going to be the basicness of Molten Core. But, yeah, a lot of people have kind of been saying, well, 40-man raids kind of seems like almost arrogant to have that kind of raid size. And I think it's... Potentially, it could have the same effect as what it had in Classic WoW, which was, you want to progress, the content's there, all you got to do is go and get it. Go and meet some people, form teams,
work your ass off.
Yeah, but
which gives it the whole achievement thing.
I think the main point that I want to make in this video is that yes, you have to work your ass off in that old model, but that's okay, because really, the journey was the important thing. Why else are you playing the game? Is it for gear? No. If you think about it, the gear is just there to give you the tools to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, like the Molten Core's sets were always there to take you onto Blackwing Lair.
Yeah.
And the Nixia cloak was always there to take you into Blackwing Lair. You did an Nixia.
Oh, that
so
fucking
you had
cloak.
enough scales to get the cloak to be able to survive.
That cloak was pure troll. I'm sorry.
Breath.
The devs in those days used to do some of the most trolly bosses. You have to wear this gimp cloak for one.
Yeah, it was awful. This
for
cloak.
one attack.
Yeah.
It had the most shit stats. It was blue.
Yeah, it was crap, and it was just basically like fire resistance.
You never got like epics from dungeons either in those days as well. You did dungeons, you got, nice upgrades in stats, but they weren't epic.
No.
You got
some. It was good blues at the
it was good blues,
at the most.
You were in a green set usually, and then you maybe had one or two blues, but then when you hit 60, you were working towards like a full blue set.
But even getting those blue sets was amazing.
Hard. And amazing, yeah.
And like trying to get like your rogue set and it was just as epic at that moment when you got that final.
Well, I remember
the chest piece, for example.
The first thing I got that was like that was like I did my first Upper Blackrock Spire.
Yeah.
Oh, and don't even get me started on the key for that place.
God, yeah, the key.
I remember. All right, I'm gonna have to go full fanboy here and just say, look, okay, I don't know how many times I set up a pug for Blackrock Spire, and there was this one guy was like, yeah, I've got the key, don't worry about it. And then you'd get there, and it's like, no one's got the key. You're kidding me? And then everyone would just slowly leave the group.
It was that disc, wasn't it? It was that like coin with 4 gems in it.
Oh yeah. That was it. The key, you had to get like gems from bosses
coin,
in Lower Blackrock.
The coin dropped off anyone, didn't it? And then you got a quest.
You got
from
a quest, and then you had to get gems from bosses, and I think you even had to roll on the gems.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, the key wasn't like for everyone.
Getting
it was
the key was hard. It was hard mode, son.
And that was only to get into the upper part of Blackrock Spire.
Yeah, but then you got into Blackrock Spire, and as I was saying, you get that moment. I killed the dragon guy, the orc on it. I can't remember his name now.
Oh yeah, the rogue type
Dalren's.
Yeah, Dalren.
Dalren's
God.
Sword, and then I got the Draconian Deflector, and because I was playing my warrior. This is the same character you can see in this video, by the way. Fully decked out in his tier 1 transmog set for the rose tinted vanillaness. But yeah, you got your blue set, and you were like, yeah, I'm a badass. I worked for this. I'm not just any level 60. I've got gear.
I've got the gears.
And it's, at the same time that we were doing that, people were, already killing Raggy.
Yeah.
But it was okay to be behind, because guilds needed people.
Yeah.
People, or there's always spots opening up. And
but you just had to make the effort to make the connections to get to the people to.
Yeah.
Oh look, Raggy's gonna.
And all you
smite
needed
him.
to do to make those connections was
Kill him.
play the game and be relatively half decent, you know, not be a complete idiot.
Yeah, you know, at least follow instructions.
Because I mean,
and not stand in the fire.
No one was good in those days. Everyone was pretty bad. I clicked in classic WoW.
You don't have to admit that live on camera, you know.
I don't care. I think there were lots of people who would say the same. Possibly, I don't know.
I don't know. I clicked at the start and then started button pressing, but
it took me till like RAF to button press. Embarrassingly.
Wow.
Yeah.
My God, man.
That's how bad I was.
How did you even get through it all?
Well, the thing is, in vanilla, this is another funny thing. To tank, you needed one button. Like a lot of classes, you needed one button, really. To tank effectively, you just needed Sunder.
Yeah, you just got 5 Sunders up, didn't you?
And then if you had the macro, you could go AFK.
Yeah.
I've actually heard stories of guys who like had a macro, and the boss like moved or something, and they pulled it back to the tank so the macro could keep working.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's ridiculous.
But that's another thing that I've noticed as well, coming back to WoW. And if you can't tell, we're just going to randomly sort of weave topics in this video. There's no form to it really at all. We're just ranting big time about MMOs and the good and the bad. But one thing I have noticed,
more whiskey
in WoW, coming back to it after a period of it's been about 2.5 years, I think, since I last properly played. There's so much. I don't know if it's because like you're level 90 and you've gained that many more levels. But there's so many abilities that's getting a bit watered down. You know, there's so many buttons to press.
Yeah.
That you're like, half of them you don't even friggin' use. They're like so situational. And in classic WoW, one thing that was funny was that you had a spellbook that had pages and pages and pages, but it was all like rank 1.
Yeah.
This rank 2.
Rank
the other, but that was to make it feel like you gained progression when you dinged, but kept the spell number small. So you had a small number of spells, and in fact healers downranked because you were a noob if you used like max rank, you know. Heal.
We're in Blackwing Lair now.
I have to say, soloing this took me a few tries. That's why you can see a few.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, that's good. I mean, this fight, as a first fight in the new dungeon, was so
going from
challenging.
Going from a basic tank and spank instance, like
I mean, there were a few hardest thing on Ragnaros was when his sons popped up.
Yeah,
really.
Anyone who goes and solos that now won't have a fucking clue what you're on about when you talk about Raggy's sons.
Basically, when you got to a certain point of time,
I think it was 30. It was like after like. No shit! It was like after like 20 minutes or something stupid.
Yeah, it was
because it took friggin' forever to get through his HP.
And then he'd spawn like a load of Fire Lord type dudes.
I think it might have been 10 minutes.
And they were his sons, which you had to defeat. And then once you defeated them, he came back up again. You could hit him again.
Yeah,
killing. So, I mean, like
killing
it was
Raggy,
a really big achievement.
If you could kill him pre-Suns,
yeah, like being able to kill him before he got to that point was like you were an amazing guild.
Yeah, pre-Suns Raggy was an
Tim
achievement.
just 3-shot him, basically.
Yeah.
With a shield and a sword.
Yeah. I was quite happy that I remembered to stand in the right place so that I didn't die on the knockback.
Yeah. Yeah, so you could, yeah.
But, yeah, where were we? Something about spells. Yeah, there's just too many spells in WoW. I think the proper thing to say would be ability bloat. The original
ability bloat.
the original game did a good job of keeping the amount of spells on your action bar small, if nothing else. And
it was nice actually to have the option to use a lower skill spell, especially for like
if you're a mana user.
Yeah, like mages and like a level 1 frostbolt, for example, is really useful. Just for like CC, inexpensive CC.
Yeah. I don't know, if that's a good thing to a way of doing it, but you didn't have 5 million spells to choose from.
No.
The thing is as well is that I noticed you've still got a basic rotation. It's still about 2 or 3 spells long, but then you've got like all this other stuff. You've got 5 trillion cooldowns and like the warrior. I think you could see it then. I used something called banner of. It's some kind of banner that the warrior throws down, and it kind of spams taunt on everything, like over and over again.
Oh, is that what it's doing? Is that what the thing you drop on the floor is?
Yeah, that's what that is.
Oh,
but
right.
he's got.
I thought that might have been like a target dummy.
You've got
using to.
You've got a couple of different ones as well. One of them does like a kind of a demoralizing shout, reducing the damage taken, and another one kind of is a DPS buff.
Yeah.
But again, it's like I don't really feel like that adds anything to the class. It kind of waters everything down, if nothing else. You know, Guild Wars 2 at least has a balance. I think you have lots of abilities, but you can only use, a few of them,
Yeah,
at a time,
definitely,
based on your weapons. I'm not saying WoW needs a system like that. I like WoW as a kind of hotkey-based combat system. It's pretty good.
No, it's brilliant. It works brilliantly.
And the combat's still amazing. It's it's still up there. Game's old as hell, but they got some things right with it. Clearly that's why it was popular.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I just feel like it's become way too streamlined. That's one thing that I've noticed coming back as a former, reasonably hardcore player.
What else would you say that has surprised you? I mean, we talk about all these the little side things they've added, like pet battles and stuff. I mean, how do you feel about them? Have you done any of it? Do you enjoy it?
Well, I've done it a bit, and one of the things I've got to say is that it made me think. You know what? There's actually shitloads of other stuff than endgame. Content that you can do in the game now. If you're a casual player, there's lots to do there. There's achievements, professions, the pet battling, even going back and doing basically what I'm doing here, which is transmog collecting, getting your different armor sets to paint over your new gear because it looks a bit gay. And that's all fun. And I've got to say, coming back and doing these vanilla raids was a huge, nostalgia trip. It's awesome because I loved those raids. They were... not the most complex fights, but it just brought back.
Blackwing Lair was quite nasty sometimes.
Yeah, but it just brought back that atmosphere, the fire and brimstone of the old WoW, and the feeling of what it was like to do those fights originally. And it's funny, kind of going back and just one-shotting them.
Yeah, pretty much.
But the thing about all the other features that are in the game now, I mean, there's scenarios. I don't even know if you know what they are.
No.
You basically, it's like another thing to do insteed of a dungeon. You've got
so something happens, like someone's attacking.
You queue up for it, like everything else in the game, and
so you don't have to run anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get put into not so much a dungeon, but like a little adventure in a small map with objectives that pop up with two other people. And is
it kind of like the story mode in Guild Wars 2 where you'd sort of run into a camp?
I'd say it actually reminded me a fair bit of that. Especially when you co-opted it with someone and it scaled up. It's going to this little, hey, we've made this little interactive story almost. Come inside and get some rewards.
Yeah,
but it's still, the queuing up for it thing still kind of bothers me a bit. I just watched it die. Yeah,
that's hilarious. There's nothing you could have done about that, though. That's the thing.
No, it's just the nature of that debuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you will die.
There's so much other stuff to do that I don't really see the issue if people complaining about. Oh well, we want to see the raid content. Because let me tell you that I don't raid at the moment. If I got back into WoW properly, I'd probably find a guild and do 10 mans, nothing serious. But I can tell you that having played a little bit of Raid Finder, what is going on in there is absolutely not raiding. It's a completely different experience. And I just get the feeling like when you look at all the other stuff that's on offer in the game, why are people so adamant that they do this endgame PvE. You know, it's like saying, well, I pay my sub fee, so I deserve to be like a top-rated arena player as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. So no effort involved.
And one of the other funny things about that I've always thought and found amusing is that, yeah, you know, there's a mystique. Well, there used to be a mystique associated with these raids, and you'd get into them and feel awesome. But really, the content of them, in terms of like the art assets and, you know, the rooms and the actual place of the dungeon, there was nothing ever really unique about that. It was all the same stuff that you saw in the rest of the game, only hard for people who wanted to team up and do serious PvE. You don't really miss anything by not. Maybe, you know, you miss a few boss models. Whoop-de-doo, you know.
Yeah, well, that's the cheapening of it, isn't it, though?
You miss a few scripted encounters, which were never really like the best when it came to telling you the story. A lot of the times, people just wish they could skip through it. When you've heard Major Domo Executus summon Ragnaros for the like 20th time, you just
Ragnaros bitch slapping him.
Yeah, it takes so long. You just think, I wish I could skip over this. But yeah, I just don't get the insistence. And the thing that really kind of annoys me is the fact that Blizzard's just kind of gone, well, you know what? Okay, here you go. And then you just feel like, I don't know. It's a psychological thing, partly. I think it kind of just makes you think, well, why bother? And so,
well, nothing's epic then, is it? That's the thing. There's nothing. There's nothing to it. If you can just go and do it, with no problem at all.
Psychologically, the guy who's got absolutely no skill, who, you know, contributes nothing to a raid group and still gets the loot because he was there. He can get those items. He can see that content, and then you just think, I don't care anymore, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why we fall, I guess, on that side of the argument of the wanting. Even if we never play it, honestly, I wouldn't have a problem if I was in this game or WildStar and there was raid content I would never see. I would think that was a good thing. I would love that, because then it'd be like, you know what, this game's always going to have something more for me if I want it to, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always there, and I can still play. I can still do other activities. They're adding stuff all the time. You know, 5-man dungeons, heroic encounters, scenarios.
Yeah, the heroic dungeons are great, and the heroic dungeons work well with the group finder. I mean, they're tough enough to offer a challenge.
Yeah.
But not completely.
Even at the level where they've got a bit harder in Cataclysm, I think if they'd have stuck with that model, because they said they were going back to that, and then they kind of bottled it and went, oh god, we're going to nerf it all because people hate us. They just cave in to people on the forums, and people on the WoW forums are not people you should be caving into.
No, because they're just the bitchy ones who just don't have a clue. The whiny ones.
Yeah, it's just that. So anyway,
The
Night Kings. Yeah, we've kind of danced around the topic a bit, given a bit of a rant on the subject of LFR and, you know, how it's kind of draining. I mean, I think that's the opinion that we take, isn't it? That kind of feature is just no good for an MMO.
Yeah, it cheapens and removes the challenge of the content and the need and the epicness of progression and that amazing feeling you get when you finally defeat a boss or when you finally get that piece of loot you've been wanting. All that kind of stuff is taken away by the
fact that it's okay that you don't see it. It's okay that, you know, because there's still other stuff you can do. You can work towards it. It doesn't. And
not forgetting the fact that you've come together with a group of 40 people who you've got to know. You know, in a raid finder, you can go into a raid with anyone from any realm now, without effort having to see them again. But with this, you build on memories,
consequences,
and you know, do you remember that time when, or let's record this, you know, cool video of us killing or being killed by something ridiculously. You know, and all that kind of stuff is just completely taken away by the finder.
It's been killed in a big way, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Being killed is, I mean, like, we've had some hilarious moments where we've been killed. and there's some really frustrating ones as well. But I'd never want those funny times to be kind of forgotten, because the struggle and the hilarity that ensued, especially when kind of the Benny Hill music was playing in the background.
Yeah. It was just
that was
epic.
also one of our
It was
things.
epic. And again, it was the whole experience, not the loot. The loot was cool.
Well,
it looked
it was
cool.
just part of it. It was just part of it.
It increased your power, but it was a means to an end. It was just part of the game. And
Yeah, it was just part of the process.
I mean, and it's a basic concept really of game design, isn't it? That effort, reward, balance. Blizz seems to have forgotten that. I don't know if it's because of a change of the devs. I know a lot of the old WoW devs aren't there anymore, but yeah.
It's probably also a clamour to keep people in as well.
But the thing is, it's not working.
I know it's not working. But
people are like subbing and then unsubbing once they've cleared a wing or whatever.
in 10 minutes,
Because yeah, what's there to keep them around? If you can just see it all straight away, why stick around?
well, let's be honest.
It's not.
They give away 5 days of free play now and again.
Yep.
You could pretty much do it in 5 days if you didn't have anything else to do.
Well, you could at least get up to Raid Finder.
Yeah, you could get up to Raid Finder and do a raid
Yeah.
within that time.
A wing of a raid.
Especially if you had a high level character from a previous version.
yeah.
I could take my characters up to level with the free whatever.
It's just it kind of they don't really seem to know what they're doing. I really think when it comes to keeping people in the game, because they seem to be doing all this stuff to try and keep people there, but I can't logically understand why anyone would stick around with the model they've got. It seems to be all focused on get in, see the content, get out, there you go, you're happy. Why would you do that? Why would you cheapen it? Why would you rush people through it? You would want it to have a longevity, surely.
Well, actually, thinking about it, one of the main reasons I didn't quit for so long was the community. It wasn't the game.
Yeah, the community, obviously.
I mean, losing the link to friends and the fun we had together as a group was one of the big things that kept me going and playing it.
Yeah. Exactly. Anyway, we've kind of bounced around this topic a bit now. I think it's probably time to take a look at some comments from the Raid Finder video we did on our WildStar video a while ago. We've got some good ones. So, let's take a look at a comment from Mac Red Baron. And he says that LFR functions are just bad. Good move, Carbine. Raids should be made difficult and challenging for guilds and/or highly coordinated groups, not random scrubs who are trying to gear ults. You get to kill endgame boss if you earn it. LFG/LFD functions work and should be 100% implemented. Standing in a town for half hour trying to get a group only for everyone to leave because they don't want to wait is bollocks. So
Agreed.
what he's saying here is kind of, looking for group, looking for dungeon stuff, great. I can totally see, the point in that. Getting a group for a dungeon should be quick and easy.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. But he's also saying that LFR is bad. Because it should be reserved for that. The people who want to put the effort in, the people who want to build a community. Basically all the stuff we've been saying. And so, that's kind of an awesome comment there. We completely agree with that one. Yeah,
100%, as he said.
Yeah. And I agree that the group finding for towns for just dungeons, I think that's okay. I think
it's important because
it requires
you
a
need to be able
separate
to
skill
gear up
level.
Sometimes. Yeah, you need to sometimes gear up before you can get.
If
into
you've got a game where people
guild.
are used to sheeping stuff and used to working as a team regularly, then having
as long as the dungeon offers that crowd control aspect and things.
Yeah.
I think it's important that the dungeon actually, you have to pull a trash mob.
Because I would say that one of the biggest challenges in WoW Vanilla in the dungeons was just getting the group together and getting them there.
Yeah, definitely.
But then I think that you should still have to go to the dungeon.
Yeah.
You
should at least discover the dungeon.
Yeah, at the very least. I would like it if you had to go there physically. Get some world PvP out of it as well. Okay.
What about attunement, though? Just out of interest.
What,
'Cause,
personally?
some of the achievements in WoW were brutal.
Yeah, they were.
But would you like that the amount of brutality in that achievement, or would you prefer
Well,
it
look,
to be
personally, I know
to have
some
an
people.
achievement?
I know some people didn't like it. Personally, I have to say, yeah, I think it's good to have, as long as
For
it's
the
not,
big
you know.
raids.
The one thing I would say is that I wouldn't want it to be Karazhan level brutal, because that was insane.
Oh my god, Karazhan.
But I didn't have a real issue with the Oni quest. I thought it was epic. You know, you went all the way around the world. It was fun. You
Yeah,
fought
it
different
was.
NPCs.
Oni
it wasn't
was
necessarily
fine.
it wasn't necessarily alt friendly. The one thing I would say is possibly unlock it for all your account once you've done it once.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
That would be a good compromise, I think. But
yeah,
other
that
than
would be a
that,
good compromise.
other than that,
At least doing it once with someone.
yeah, other than that, I don't have an issue with it. All right, let's move on to another comment.
But actually, on the Karazhan thing, that's what made me quit.
The attunement to Karazhan.
I just thought, sod it, I can't be bothered.
You had to do like heroics, and you had to do them. I think you had to do it like in a certain speed or something. I can't remember what
It
it
was a
was.
speed or an order or something ridiculous,
Yeah.
and it was massive.
It was hard. It was hard to the core. Yeah, it was something in the Black Morass, the Caverns of Time.
Yep.
Some
Oh
crazy shit
yeah,
like that.
yeah. Well, you had to do the portal things, and
And that was a hard dungeon on release.
oh my god,
That was so freaking hard. Yeah, it was punishing, and I might say as well, as I was playing a gnome character, the same one you can see in this video, there was an issue with that instance.
seeing yourself.
Well, you couldn't. It was not only that, you were slower moving from portal to portal because you had to swim because your character was so short.
Yeah,
That got patched eventually.
the puddles were like just a bit too deep.
But lordy, that seriously, wow, that was hardcore. Okay, let's move on to another comment. Got one from Jason Neal. He says, I've been trying to get my friend into the idea of trying another MMO, aka WildStar, and we both started talking about how LFR killed WoW. I remember my first time back in WoW in Wrath. I thought the Lich King was the coolest shit ever. I completely agree. There was so much story behind him and so much mystery. You would hear people talk about the epic fight, and it was that alone that made me want to better myself so that one day I might get to take part in that epic fight. I killed Deathwing a week after the Dragon Soul came out.
Yeah,
You see? This is what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Shit like this, okay? Deathwing's out, he's brought out in a patch, and next week, like, a bunch of noobs kill him. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
No, exactly. It's wrong.
Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And old school WoW devs would never have allowed that. Do you remember how like people would talk about shit like that in the forums, and they'd be like, "No, there's a reason it's hard. Get to grips with it and deal with it."
Yeah, exactly. Well,
And these
yeah,
days,
they did all
the
the
caving
time.
in to crybabies because they're scared of losing subs. It's just like this is how you end up with Raid Finder.
Yeah,
Something that they said they'd never do. I remember that explicitly. The amount of times, you first got looking for group, looking for dungeon, and people were like, oh, well, what about raid? And at the time, the dev response was
no.
something like, no, that's silly.
Yeah,
A couple
it
of
never
expansions down the line. Hey, guess what, guys? We've implemented a raid finder.
worked. But that's the thing. The thing is, it would never have worked unless they hadn't offered the soft version of the raid.
It is so soft.
Well, exactly, but it wouldn't have worked because
Exactly.
you can't get 40 people together or 20 people
25
together.
people? No.
25 people together to coordinate enough to be able to defeat something as hard as a fight in Blackwing Lair.
Exactly.
Equivalent.
Exactly. It is some lame ass stuff.
Imagine just fighting the giants at the start of Molten Core with a random group of 40 people.
Well, you would have wiped.
Remember how many we went in there as a 40 group and wiped on those giants.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
we
the
didn't
raid
even get
needed
past
to.
them at the first week we went, did we?
No, the raid needed to. Oh, this is funny, by the way. This is where I got turned into a chromatic thing because I didn't kill him quick enough. Look,
Even now a dog thing. Oh right, the lizard men. Oh dear, and you couldn't do anything.
Attempt to. Here we go. But yeah, you know, it needs to be challenging. This is the whole point of this video, really, and the fact that we're happy about WildStar appearing to go down that route that is promising.
Yeah.
So yeah, we agree with that
him
one.
Again.
Let's see, we've got time for maybe one more. LFR is a bad thing for the game. This is from the chaos within me. LFG is only good.
Personal.
It's his name, not mine. LFG is only good if there isn't an instant teleport within the dungeon. I can't forget when 240-man raids in WoW versus Horde. WoW Horde versus Alliance met accidentally outside Blackrock Mountain area. Good world PvP out of the blue. Comes back to something we were talking about before. Going to the instance. You don't get your instant teleport. You're now in the instance. You have to go there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's good and bad to that. The worst example is you get AQ40 launch where... you know, everyone's going to the instance on the day of launch, and guess what? There's an event, so everyone goes there, including the scrubs. Yeah. Instance unlocks. Yeah, all the hardcore raiders dive into the instance. Enjoy the world bosses, guys. That actually happened, and not only that, it was so laggy. The world bosses were dealing shit tons of damage and then bouncing around the map. They were pinging from one spot to the other, and people were getting disconnected.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the hardcore raiders were inside, you know, wiping on the AK-40 trash.
Yeah, and running back safely because obviously they were dead.
Yeah.
Not having to worry about things.
Yeah, but I mean, generally, you never saw that again. It was part of that world event thing in WoW, and yeah, just going to the dungeon. There was times when we actually had world PvP outside Blackwing there.
Blackrock was
Blackrock Mountain. We ganked.
Big place for that.
We ganked that place so hard versus the Horde. It was like, oh yeah, you've ganked us, because we'd be summoning outside the instance, and like a few people would have a go, and then you'd be like,
sapped and
then everyone on our TeamSpeak would be like, oh right, yeah, you think you're the balls, right? Well, here you go. We're now going to gank the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And it escalated, and then you fucking like went and raided Orgrimmar.
Yeah.
And fucking killed Thrall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in WoW now, because it's like you're just sat in the city queuing up, and yeah, sad times, so yeah.
Didn't our guild actually kill him on a Saturday in like a day?
We did it at the most like populated time for our server. We were like, we got a few guilds in on it, and we were like, right, guys, we're gonna friggin' raid Orgrimmar. And of course, you couldn't keep that secret when you told that many guilds, so the Horde actually knew we were going to come as well.
Yeah.
And even though it was Saturday afternoon, tons of people online, even though everyone was there defending him, we still friggin' killed him.
Yeah.
Because
it was quite
it was a huge event, yeah, and we were coordinated. And I can't say I can imagine that happening in WoW these days, just because of it's a queue thing.
Well, haven't they got an event now that does that for you?
No, that's the latest raid.
Oh, is it the latest raid?
Rage. The latest raid is the Siege of Orgrimmar, and that's in the raid finder as well, obviously.
I can't believe you're actually soloing the foreign.
You you go in and like kill Garrosh, and then, which I don't know what that's got to do with pandas. I don't think this expansion's really been thought out too well in terms of like lore or anything like that. You don't have like a good antagonist. Like, I mean, honestly, I don't think they're ever going to get a better one than the Lich King. The Lich King was lore-wise, I mean, it's Arthas. If you played Warcraft 3 and all that shit, it was the most lore-intensive expansion you could ever wish for. And then you get fucking pandas. Cataclysm was a bit of a mess. I mean, Deathchin, not really the most inspiring villain. He's a dragon, he's not a person, you know, all that shit. So yeah, you know, WoW kind of, I mean, honestly, there's tons of good stuff in the game. I still enjoy it. I love going back and doing dungeons. tanking. The main reason that I went back was because I wanted to play an MMO that had a Trinity in it. Guild Wars 2 doesn't have that. And, honestly, you got to hand it to Blizz. Their combat system's still solid.
Blizzard are amazing at doing things really, really well.
It's high quality.
As we've seen with Hearthstone.
Yeah, we're loving Hearthstone. And also, I've got to say, Hearthstone, if they're trying to use that to get people back into WoW somehow, good job, it worked on me. That's all I'm going to say. It was a great marketing tool for Warcraft.
It pushes all the nostalgia buttons as soon as you enter the game.
It totally does. That's another reason why I resubbed. Can't say I'm going to be here for it.
Resubbed? Oh my God.
Yeah, I have. I can't say I'm going to be there for like ages. I mean,
Wow.
I'm probably going to. Honestly, I'm probably going to like gear up a character, which will probably take about a week, and then get bored and unsub.
Oh my God, wind it up quick. He's dead.
That's alright, I've got more footage I can put at the end of this. I've actually got some footage from a random heroic that I tanked, so that might actually work nicely here.
Cool.
Yeah, so let's have another comment, shall we?
Go on.
Why
Might as well, but over an hour now. Fuck it.
Yeah. Raids in vanilla. This is from Walmart 5. Kind of looks like you hit the 5 key instead of the T key, but whatever. Walmart.
Walmart.
Yeah, I mean, 5, it's right above T. I think he genuinely made that mistake.
Oh well.
Sorry, Walmart. Anyway, raids in vanilla. Get 1 epic item. Super excited. OMFG, what the fuck? Raids in mop. Get 4 to 6 epic items in a raid. Meh. Really don't care at all.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. That's exactly
It's
how I
like,
feel.
oh look,
about
another epic that I got with no effort. All right,
Epics
cheers.
are meant to be epic.
Yeah, there's nothing epic about it when you just showered with them. That's the other thing I was going to mention in this video, actually, is that the most surprising thing I found coming back was there's an island now in the new continent where you go there and chests spawn containing epics for your class and spec.
Yeah, so how does that work? I mean, do you swim out to this island and then...
Well, it's kind of like
Is there loads of
Qualdanas. Do
people
you remember
there or
in
something?
Burning Crusade where there was the quest hub? Except for it's not as much of a quest hub. It's more like it's a bit like a cross between that and do you remember that Scarlet Zone in Classic where you used to grind elites? It's kind of like an island full of elite mobs and bosses that spawn, and all the mobs drop like coins that you can spend on stuff.
Yeah.
And also, they can drop epic items. You can use the coins to open chests that contain epic items. Chests spawn that you can open without any coins. They just randomly appear. And when you open it, you get an item that isn't an item. It's like a thing that you use and it creates an item for your spec.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to get them. You just wander around. And you're like, oh, right, I got an epic. Awesome. It's actually quite a good epic.
That's just wrong.
I know. It's just
Why
like,
would
hey
it be
guys,
epic?
hey-
How are legendaries handled these days?
Well, when you hit... this is actually something that I've noticed as well. You hit 90, and you get...
Every legendary in the game.
No, you don't. It's not quite that bad, but you get a legendary quest line. Everyone gets this.
Okay.
Stuff for it drops in Raid Finder, so you can grind basically the materials needed for it. Everyone's got access to this legendary, basically.
Yeah.
And
I mean, what are the drop lights? I mean, how much?
I didn't even notice.
Get?
I didn't even notice. I wasn't even aware it was a legendary quest line. If I'm honest, when I started it,
Yeah.
I took this quest, noticed that all of a sudden that I had these 2 stacks of legendary items in my backpack, and I was like, "What's this?" It looks like some kind of token. I mean, even the tokens are legendary, and it's materials for this legendary quest chain that this NPC is meant to be Nefarian's or Deathwing's son, apparently.
Deathwing Junior.
Well, his name's Rathion.
Wrathwing.
He meets you in this inn in like human
Ratchin.
form, and like You know, he's meant to be like a good guy, but you're not sure, kind of thing. Yeah, and yeah, kind of feel like. Wait a minute. I remember when you saw a guy with Thunder Fury, right?
Oh God, yeah.
There was like one on every server, or two at most, and you were like, "Holy shit, that weapon is the balls." Do you remember the proc on that at level 60? It used to do like chain lightning.
Yeah.
And like everything that got hit by it got slowed, or something stupid like that.
And it looked amazing.
Yeah, even to this day, it's awesome looking. I've got it on my Death Knight.
Yeah. But you had like the Ragnaros's hammer.
I've seen people in trade chat making groups for raids and stuff for different difficulties of raids, and some of the requirements are you must have the legendary. I think it's a cloak. You must have the legendary cloak. And I remember, I just think, wait, you must, like, a requirement to join a group is having a legendary item? Just, like, no, there's nothing legendary about that. It's just wrong.
So how many things do you need to collect to make this legendary? That's what I'm
not sure. I
about.
haven't looked at it that much. I've just kind of gone, oh, that's a thing, you know.
Can you remember, like, trying to get some of the stuff, like Thunder Fury, and getting the drops for it? And the braces.
To get Thunder Fury, you had to get 2 bindings from 2 separate bosses in Molten Core. I think it was Geddon and Gar.
Yeah, which didn't drop. Like
they never dropped. You'd get like 2 of one and never get the other.
Yeah.
Or like, and that was when you had DKP as well. So like one tank would get one, and then the other one might get the other. Because they'd be too greedy to go, well, I'm not going to miss my chance for the legendary weapon, you know.
Yeah, tanks are like that though.
Yeah, so yeah, but then you finally got the 2 bindings, and you did a quest chain to then go and kill a boss, to then drop the weapon or forge it or something like that. I think there was even more steps to it than that. I think I had to possibly go somewhere else to like get some like disenchantment or something. I can't remember exactly how it worked, but you eventually ended up in this place where a world boss spawned, you killed it, and it got your tank the weapon. And you needed like a raid to do it as well.
Yeah.
So you couldn't just go and stole of it.
No.
And that was relatively easy if you were lucky, compared to making, shall we say, Hand of Ragnaros?
Hand of Ragnaros for oh my god.
You needed so many materials to make Hand of Ragnaros. You first got like the normal, like, just, I think it was like just like a normal looking mace. It wasn't fiery.
No.
And then you had to like grind the hell out of materials.
It was insane, and it was a complete guild investment.
Oh yeah. You had like the guild bank working on it, and people putting the mats in the bank.
There was no way you couldn't get it without 40 people.
No.
Well, you know, unless you could do it with 38 or 35.
Well, unless you were like doing Blackwing Lair and you had Uber gear, you could go and do MC with less people.
Yeah.
But even then, not like too many less, you know. I know our guild eventually did do like an Ixia 7-man or something crazy before Burning Crusade.
Yeah, they did. And I did it 3-man at some point. I can't remember when that was.
Probably because it would have been before the level 70 Oni. It's probably Burning Crusade at some point.
Yeah, we did it with
them. It's probably like we got to 70 and then someone like went like, I wonder how many people it takes to kill Oni now.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, but Reminisce. Anyway, we've kind of banged on about this topic forever now. I'm going to end it with one final comment, which I think speaks for itself, from Wolfgang von. It kind of looks like you're missing a third part to your name.
Yeah,
there,
you need a third part.
It looks like his name's Wolfgang von 3 months ago.
My name is Wolfgang
but,
von 3 months
fairly
ago.
Popular comment. It's got 3 thumbs up, which is a lot for a comment on one of our videos. It says, can't wait for the comeback of 40-man raids. Grr, the epic feeling those gave was amazing. Yes, I think that's kind of what we've been saying all throughout this video. GIF WildStar's 40-man raid content. We will definitely be checking it out. But yeah, leave us your thoughts on this comment, guys. Do you agree with us? Do you hate us? Probably a lot of people are going to, totally hate on us for, the classic WoW fanboyism that we unashamedly demonstrate. But love it or hate it, that's our view. Tell us your view. If you like the video, then click the like button, and if you don't like it, then fuck you.
If you're still listening, then congratulations.
Congratulations if you got this far and don't like the video. Seriously, go and rethink your life. That's actual genuine advice I'm trying to give you there. Anyway.
I'm just going to keep drinking.
Thanks again for watching the video. Please subscribe if you haven't, because we love subscribers, and we sometimes do giveaways like the recent forced giveaway that we've just concluded. Stay tuned to Fluffy Gaming for more content, and as always, we will see you again one day soon.
Good night.